Good afternoon, Mavericks. Happy Thursday. And I am really excited to be here. We have an incredible group that we are going to be speaking with. We are going to be speaking with public servants of the city of Thornton that are going to dive in and how the city's handling the COVID response. But before we do that, I want to talk real quickly again about Serenity Engage. It is the app that has made the promise to work with as many senior living communities as possible over the next 90 days to give them a free trial of software that will enable the long-term care communities to share photos and messages with loved ones who might be locked down or secured during our COVID pandemic. Make sure to check them out at serenityapp.com and learn all about the great features, how they are helping our older adults stay connected with their families during the COVID pandemic. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the ever important Miss Catherine Wells.
Hi, everybody. It's great to see you all. We're happy to have this group of people here with us today from the city of Thornton. I want to take 2 seconds and remind you all what we're doing at Mavericks of Senior Living to create hope during this time. The first one is Facebook Lives like this, where we're talking to people who are sharing best practices and helping everybody collaborate so that we can all learn and grow from this together. Second thing is we have a text subscription service. If you just text the words Ignite Hope to 27126, we'll send you 30 days of text messages that are inspirational and positive to help keep everybody's spirits up a little bit here. And then lastly, we have these wristbands that say Ignite Hope, and we're in it together. And for $5, all proceeds from that will go to one of these 3 organizations that are helping to fight against COVID-19. The World Health Organization, COVID-19 Response Fund, AmeriCares, or Feeding America. So we'd love to have you participate in that if you can. Now let's get to our incredible guest here. I will ask each one of you to introduce yourself, tell our audience a little bit about who you are and a little bit about your background, and then we'll go through and ask each one of you questions. So Jessica, would you mind going first?
Sure, thanks, Catherine. So I'm Jessica Sandgren. I'm Mayor Pro Tem in the city of Thornton. I was elected back in 2017. I was a middle school teacher prior to that and really got involved in politics just through education. But since I've been elected to Thornton, I've been very active in transportation needs in our city and continue to do so. But during this time with COVID, I'm really proud of what our staff is doing, and I'm excited to hear that today and that they'll be able to share what they're doing for our residents.
Jessica, real quick, could you tell everybody what Mayor Pro Tem means or is?
It's really just a fancy way of saying backup mayor. If something with the regular mayor can't be done, then I get to do it.
All right. Thank you.
I like it. Backup mayor. Wonderful. And we spoke with Jessica several months ago about some of the older adult transportation issues and the things that they're doing in Thornton, which is quite an impressive city, by the way, for those of you who are wondering. So Lisa, why don't you go next?
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. I'm Lisa Rinaldi. I manage the Active Adult Center. My title is actually Older Adults Program Manager. And I've been with the city since 1989, so 31 years. And prior to that, I also worked with older adults, so it's really my passion.
Oh, that's wonderful. We love to hear that. And just a quick reminder for our audience, if you have questions, start getting them ready and post them so that we can get these folks to answer them for us live. All right, Theo, let's have you go next.
Good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Theo Gonzales. I'm one of the EMS lieutenants for Thornton Fire Department. I've been on the department for 16 years now, and I've been in my position for about 4 years now. So I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. We're excited to speak with you today and hear from you what you all are doing. All right, and Sabrina.
Hello, I'm Sabrina Iacovetta, the Community Safety and Information Officer. I have been with the city for 32 years, actually working a little bit with Lisa Rinaldi before I came to the fire department. I've been with the fire department for a total of 21 years. and just happy to be here.
It's so great. Well, we have a powerhouse of people here, and we really want this to be a Q&A, so please pipe up with questions. So, Jessica, as Mayor Pro Tem and Councilwoman, what is the City of Thornton doing to respond to COVID-19, and how are you supporting your residents and businesses?
Good question. Very loaded, actually. So, as you know, things are changing rapidly. I mean, it's really hourly, daily. There's updates constantly going on. So, it's really important that we have such an active staff and proactive. And I think you're going to hear from them today. But they're very much on top of it. And so keeping us up to date as a council so that we can make decisions based on that information that are going to involve funding, cutting through some red tape. You know, we've had to make a couple changes quickly just to the way that we do things in the city in order to provide services for our residents. So it's really helpful that we're getting these regular updates. So our city manager every week now during our meetings is updating us on big picture, but we get daily email from each of our departments if there's something big happening that day that they've had to change. So Theo, Sabrina, Lisa are very much a part of those daily updates for us, which we really rely on during this time. We have a community connections department that kind of oversees CBDG funding, which is community block and development grant funding, which we get from the federal government. And so there's CARES funds that are going into that pile of money, but it really just takes a lot of time and effort to figure out which group is going to benefit the most from that quickly, and how can we get that out as quickly as possible. So lots of things are still happening. As you know, the CARES Act itself, there's still a lot of things changing with that and how the money is being used, who can access it. And so it's really a matter of trying to keep up with every single day and the changes that come. Business-wise, I know a lot of communities are all dealing with, you know, government relies on sales tax revenue, and we don't really have that right now. So we're working hard with our small business community. We have a advisory board made up of small business owners in the city of Thornton that are looking at existing money that we have already. So we're not trying to pull money from an empty pot. So they're trying to figure out who they can reach out to quickly to benefit from that existing funds. Again, the criteria is going to be really hard because all of our small businesses are suffering right now. So it's just going to be a lot of work and a lot of outreach, which this group you'll hear from. You know, not everybody has access to online information. So getting out into the community, making those phone calls, printing up flyers, hand delivering that information. There's a variety of ways to get that out there. And again, you'll hear from each of these guys today and what they're doing to make sure that happens. So I think really big picture for the city and for the decision makers in any city, it's relying on our staff. And thankfully we have such an incredible staff that's doing the work. They're not really 8-to-5ers, as you heard from Theo. They're really all dayers at this point, keeping up with the information as it comes in. So we're thankful that we have them to rely on before we make those big decisions for our city as a whole.
That's really great. And it didn't occur to me that, I know this is terrible for me to say, but I'll say it. I'm so used to everything being online that it didn't occur to me that you have a population of people, and everybody does, that you have to be face to face. You have to have some tangible things to give them. Did you mobilize a force of volunteers to go out and do that? How were you managing that?
So I'll let these guys talk about how they're managing that, because they've really been at the forefront and instrumental in getting it out there. They know the residents much better than most of us do because they have daily interaction with them. So it's really incredible what they're doing, and I think we're all just so proud and thankful that we have a staff like we do. So I'll let them share that information.
That's great. And I'll throw this question out to just let you all think about it. So if you can answer it when I ask you your questions as well, or if we come back to it. I'm curious if there are any small businesses or any business owners who are doing some really cool creative things that you can share that you're aware of. Sabrina, let's go to you next. So as Thornton's Fire Department's Community Safety and Information Officer, tell us a little bit about what you've put in place to keep people informed.
Really what we've been doing is utilizing our social media platforms, both Facebook and Twitter, since information is changing so fast, it's hard to keep up in some of that printed format. So we've just been putting information out as fast as it comes available in both Twitter and Facebook. And we've also been utilizing Theo as much as possible, getting out in the news media. So he's done quite a bit of interviews with some of those different news channels, just getting that information out, whether it's our uniforms changing, just letting the citizens know, hey, this is what we look like now. It's not that normal bunker gear that they're used to. Now, we're wearing different kind of masks, and we have on blue coveralls. So we look a little bit different, and the citizens are a little hesitant when we come knocking at the door because it's not that normal traditional outfit or uniform that we're used to wearing. So we're trying to get that information out as much as possible. And then we have developed some brochures that we can leave at the homes. So if it's something where we don't transport those individuals, then we do leave them with some good information of how they can take care of themselves and stay at home. So that's really what we're doing right now.
That's really, really amazing. And I think that identifying someone to be your PR person is always a great idea. And I'm sure you had that in place before. But the whole idea that the officers look different right now, that's certainly something to make sure that people know about that. And then
right.
More of that awareness that you're doing that not only for them to protect themselves because they need to be healthy to serve, but also to protect the people that they're going to visit.
Right, because it does look completely different than what they're used to. So it is good information to get out. And it has changed over time. We were wearing some Tyvek uniforms, which they are wearing, and we were telling the people, this is what they look like now. Well, that has evolved into something different. So we're trying to keep that information out and readily available as much as possible.
Great. And do you have a website where you're showing pictures of what they're wearing right now, or some place where they can visual?
We're keeping that on Facebook because we know everybody's at home and they're on social media more so than they are on websites.
Yes.
So they can share that information.
Is it the City of Thornton Fire Department? Is that where the Facebook page?
That is our Facebook page, but we are not updating that with photos. The city does have information on the COVID-19 with information and resources, but we don't have the photos on there. We have that on Facebook and Twitter.
So do you have it on the Facebook page for City of Thornton Fire Department? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to.
And that was just posted yesterday.
Great. He's probably going to pull it up for everybody right here so they can see. And we'll make sure that we include these links, by the way, in the post text at the bottom so that everybody can get to this very, very quickly. So this is what your officers are looking like right now, your fire department?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
That's really helpful. I think I'm assuming that's really helpful for you guys to not be caught off, or not for their citizens to be caught off guard by this new look, I'll say.
Yeah.
Correct. It almost looks like they're going to work on a car or plumbing.
Well, and it can be a little scary with the masks for a lot of people. So, yeah.
Especially since we've trained so many people to, stranger danger. Well, that's, what they look like is something different and not a firefighter.
Well, and if you're like me and you've been watching the movies like Contagion.
Yes. Or Jason.
I know, right. I know they say not to do that, but I actually love it because I love the process and the science behind it and all of that. So, all right, well, let's switch over to Theo. So Theo, as the fire lieutenant, we understand you're also very involved in telehealth and community medicine. Can you tell our audience what you're doing in that area and how has it been going?
Really, it's something that we've actually been working towards for the past 2 years, and believe it or not, it's just now starting to come to fruition. It takes a lot of background things to get those things up and running, a lot of logistical things. And so, community paramedicine is a very brand new concept to the world of EMS. And so really what it looks like is us sort of not going out and doing emergency acute medical care. So, treating the heart attacks and treating the strokes and the motor vehicle accidents. It's kind of flipping the paradigm, so to speak, and doing a little bit more of almost like nursing, home nursing type stuff, where we go out and we treat those long-term problems like long-term asthma, COPD, diabetes, and things like that, where we're actually getting into homes and starting to help manage some of those long-term problems before they turn into emergencies. And so it's almost kind of like, Sabrina does a lot of our fire prevention work. This is almost like EMS prevention. And so we're trying to mitigate a lot of those things before they become emergencies. And so that's been pretty successful for us. Right now, we have a CARES system. There's a lot of CARES words being thrown around out there. R stands for Community Assistance, Referral, and Education Services. That's kind of our pilot program into community paramedicine. As far as telemedicine goes, we're still working on a platform right now. We're one of the very lucky few in the nation that were chosen to do the CMS, Centers for Medicare Services, ET3 model, which is a reimbursement model, which basically pays for some of these programs for people. So we're really excited to have been chosen for that. We're one of the few departments in the state that got chosen to do that. So that will help us provide that telemedicine platform to really all of our citizens. So we're really excited to do that.
Lieutenant, can you dive a little deeper into the telemedicine aspect, just for some people that don't know a whole lot? I mean, we're hearing telemedicine talked a lot, so you just dive a little deeper into what telemedicine really is.
Yeah, so telemedicine, it's kind of like, the good old days of having the doctor come out and do a home visits and do house calls. It's kind of like that, but it's utilizing technology. It's using some of these platforms like Zoom, like Facebook, FaceTime, and really just virtually seeing your doctor instead of having him right there in your living room. We're bringing those doctors to your living room via technology now. And so it's really an exciting concept, and I think it's really specifically going to help our seniors and our at-risk populations, because what we've seen in the emergency medical system realm is we don't want those people to go to the emergency room. So we don't want them to go be exposed to a lot of the germs and things that they can see in an emergency room, especially if we can treat their condition without them ever leaving the house. And so that's what telemedicine is. It's really kind of a platform to bring any scope of medical care into your living room and treat you right where you are, so you don't ever have to leave the house.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I think that's really helpful. Are you guys doing anything? I know Dispatch Health is a big talk about that mobile ER. Do you have a similar program that you guys are using in Thornton as well?
We're not doing anything like that yet. We're actually marching towards that. We have a couple of there's a lot of different models out there of how to get that out to the citizens. Dispatch Health is one of those. They're what we would call a mobile urgent care model, and they're actually doing some higher level things with their mobile urgent care. And so they utilize a PA or a physician assistant on a basically an SUV with an EMT basic to go out and do some of these home visits, these old style home visits, and treat you in your home. We're really going to be starting to lean on the telemedicine platform more, because that's usually in that mobile urgent care model. It's one vehicle, and so as many people as that one vehicle can see in your area, they're limited to. Telemedicine, on the other hand, is something that we can really leverage with every single one of our fire engines, every single one of our medical ambulances, and any one of our single person SUVs out there can carry an iPad and bring a doctor to you.
That's cool.
We think we can see more people and really have a bigger impact than just a single vehicle right now.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
It's really amazing, because not only does it allow you to see more people, but it also allows you to be more effective more quickly, right? On-demand doctor right there.
Totally. Yeah, it's kind of the wave of the future.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things I want to point out. One, I want to ask our audience, if any of you have used telehealth or telemedicine, we'd love to hear from you and hear your experience. For the city of Thornton, I want to point out that One of the things that Theo mentioned is that this has been in the works for a couple of years. This is what we're seeing, and you're a prime example of it, a wonderful example that many communities have been working on some of these emergency response things for quite some time, and COVID has kind of pushed us through so that we can get rid of that red tape or get through the red tape a lot quicker. So I have to say to the people of Thornton, you wouldn't have this capability if this team hadn't already been thinking about it and planning for it and really looking at how to get it implemented and now be able to do that. It takes a lot of time and work to do this. So congratulations, and especially on getting it, being one of the few cities that are able to do this right now. So excellent. All right, good. So Lisa, let me ask you a question. You're the program manager for older adults. What programs do you have in place right now, and what are some of the most common requests that you're receiving?
Yeah, so Jessica mentioned a little bit earlier about our Community Connections Division. So I think it's important to talk about what they did right away. So they put up a resource page within that first week that we had closures, and they call it the COVID-19 resource page. And so on that is all of this great information that folks can access. And the other thing that they're doing is they're updating it every 2 days. So it's really current. And I think that was really helpful to get that out right away. The second thing is what we're doing in my team is we're reaching out to our seniors. We have made over 1,300 phone calls. We're kind of calling them a check-in, a friendly visit call. Just calling people up and seeing how they're doing, seeing what some of their needs are, telling them we miss them. And that's really made a big difference. And so now what we're kind of doing with that information is circling back around and saying, hey, who really would like a visit every week? And, you know, connecting with them on that regular basis. And that, you know, that's really helping with that feeling of isolation and loneliness. As those folks are probably feeling even more isolated because they're older and they know they need to stay home. And so those are just a couple of examples of kind of what we're doing currently. And then just the other thing that's really super important is to stay connected to all our partners out in the community and share resources. So when you talk about how did they get this information offline, you know, when we connect with each other and share information, then we can share it with our people when we're out and about or making these phone calls. And just a shout out to our council members, they really know what's going on. And so when their constituents call them, they can give them information and resources. So that helps too.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it helps a lot because that's one of the trickiest things in an emergency situation is to have consistent communication and have a group of people who are saying the same thing and who are able to actually respond. That's one of the most difficult things. So yeah, that's great. Mm-hmm. So Jessica will bring that back to her.
Yeah, I want to loop back real quick to Jessica. You made a mention about cutting through some red tape. Can you elaborate as to what that red tape is that you began to cut through?
Sure. So, you know, there's a couple of the quick things like restaurants being able to delivering alcohol, that kind of thing. But another one that we hadn't really thought much about until this happened was even our marijuana industry. We only have 3 actual shops in business right now. None of them are offering medical marijuana, which some of the residents might be using for prescriptions over the years. So that has kind of changed what that looks like. So we're constantly just reviewing, our legal team is constantly looking at, what else do we need to do? Just the way we communicate as a council, for instance, we're not able to meet in person. And so things have to be updated, how we hold meetings, how we vote on things. And so it's just, again, constant changes to the code or emergency procedures in general. And I want to just to fill in what Lisa said as well. You know, we are really relying on our partners in the community. And so, as Sabrina mentioned, putting out that information on Twitter and Facebook, that is so crucial to what we're doing. just because we see that information as council members as well. So when we're talking to our partners in the community, we can say, hey, I just saw this update from our fire department, or hey, our senior services just put this out there. And so I know that you guys have a lot of partners in the community that I've seen on this show. And I'm really hopeful that when they see this today, that they realize what we're doing, but we also rely on them to communicate that information with their clients and letting them know what we're doing in Thornton. What do they need from us? Because, everybody's trying to have conversations everywhere, but we're doing a lot of those things, and we also rely on community input where might there be some gaps. So it's just really important for everyone to stay connected, and hopefully we're able to do that.
That's excellent. Thank you. And we may lose Sabrina. She may have to hop off. So if she does, we want to thank you for that, but don't be alarmed. I'd love to ask all of you. So what are you seeing that's particularly inspiring in your community right now?
Why don't we start with Sabrina? So
Yeah.
just in case you've got to sneak off.
Yeah. So what we have seen is neighbors helping neighbors, which is amazing because, the firefighters are always out in the community helping, especially with our senior community. And we've received calls with them needing assistance, whether it's changing the batteries in their smoke alarms or assisting them in other ways. And we haven't been able to do that right now. So we've solicited help from their neighbors. And that's really been amazing, is just how the neighbors have been able to step up and help each other out. And maybe it's just even a check on some of our older community members, just to make sure they're okay, or grabbing groceries for them too. So it's just been amazing how the community has really stepped up and helped each other out.
It's wonderful. And it always makes my heart happy when I hear things like people stepping up to just check in on someone, because that's what we want as human beings, to know that we matter. And
right.
To have a neighbor ask is a wonderful thing.
Well, I think and I also think it's showing that it's important to know your neighbors. I think the benefit of COVID right now is making us slow down and realize the community is what we make of it. It's who we know, how we interact with our neighbors. The fact that you keep your head down and just maybe leave for work at 7, you come back at 6 and don't say hi to anybody. That's not really a community or neighborhood. And I'm hopeful that this inspires us moving forward to realize the benefit of community, not just social and digital community, but physical community. That's what my big hope is for this, is getting back to some of those roots that we've had before technology seemed to consume us all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Theo, are you seeing anything particularly inspiring?
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, every day, want to kind of tag on to what Sabrina said. One of the things that I've just been really impressed with is usually it's us, the fire department, going out and rendering aid and helping people in their time of need. And really what we've seen is kind of the opposite. People are helping us out. They're helping us out with personal protective equipment, which we have a huge shortage of. They're helping us out with food donations. They're bringing food to the stations. They're just yesterday we had Renegade Burrito feed our entire fire department lunch. We've
awesome.
had several other agencies or places in the city step up and feed us, because some of the same things that are impacting the community right now are impacting the fire department the same way. We can't go get groceries either, which is strange. We live in the fire department for 48 hours at a time, so we're there for 2 days, and so it's really impacted us to go out and get groceries and do some of those normal activities of daily living that our citizens are struggling to meet right now. And so that's what's been really inspiring to me, is just the way that really the community's pitched in to also look out for us. And so it's really felt good to get that back in spades, really. And so that's been really inspiring.
That's beautiful. It really is. And so to our audience out there, I hope that you hear that, and if you're inspired, if you're so moved to help out your local fire department or your local police department or anyone else who's serving right now, please do so. They appreciate it. Thanks.
And Catherine, I'm gonna jump in real quick. I got a couple comments coming in right now. We've got Jane who is the mayor of Thornton, excuse me. And so she just wants to give kudos and a shout out to the City of Thornton staff. And clearly, you guys are responding. Obviously, the work that you've put in years before this is showing with how quickly and effectively you've been implementing these maybe kind of more fringe thinking technologies, but it's really brought it to the forefront, the work you guys have been doing. So so a lot of credit to you guys and obviously the other city council people in the community as well. And then this is for Lieutenant Theo, little shout out from Station 75.
Yay, Theo.
Hi, Jay.
Hi, Jay.
Thank you, Jay, and thank you, Jan, for watching and for these comments. These are great to see. So,
yeah, and Sabrina, sorry, Lisa, tell us what's particularly inspiring that you're seeing.
Yeah, I would echo Sabrina. It's just really inspiring to see neighbors helping neighbors. And the other thing is, it's really nice to see all of the staff and the community really rowing in the same direction. We're really all concerned about those who need our care and our services, and it really shows. And I did howl last night in my neighborhood, and that was really fun. So you have to kind of look for the humor in some of this as well. So
yeah. Interestingly, I live right at 16th and Larimer, and we were out for a walk, and people were just walking and howling, walking and howling. It was the most bizarre experience, but it was lovely. My stepdaughter is an essential personnel. Oh, I think we had a little lapse there. My stepdaughter is an essential personnel in a psychiatric hospital. So I was howling for her along with everybody else who's out there doing all the amazing things to keep us going. Yeah. So let me just ask, what do you hope to learn from all this so we can create a better future? And Jessica, I'll start with you on this one.
Great question. So I think really what I've learned, even just now, realizing, like Theo, he talked about the innovation in our city and this telehealth. I met with Theo over a year ago now on this whole subject. So, really understanding that, as council members, we make the decisions, but we have staff that we heavily rely on, and it really shows how much we rely on them. So again, knowing that our city staff that have been around, and you've heard both Sabrina and Lisa have been around for quite some time, they've been here to see things change tremendously in our city, the growth that we've had. But then we also have people like Theo who maybe haven't been here for 30 years, but have brought with them such an innovative and creative way of thinking and doing things that have done the work and done the work that we need to do to get these innovative things going. So I think we are seeing changes now that have been in the works for quite some time that we're benefiting from as a city. But, I just can't say enough about how proud and thankful and grateful I am to see our staff doing what they're doing and to see their hard work come to fruition now at a time when we really need it the most. So I think what they're doing is what we need to continue doing. And for us as a council, we just want to be as supportive as we can to make sure that they have everything that they need to continue doing the work they're doing now and in the future.
Jessica, can I piggyback off that? Do you think you're going to start to see a shift in how local governments are running from some of the things you guys have learned through this pandemic?
Well, I think we're definitely now taking a look at our charters just to know in the future if something like this were to happen, can we do anything quicker to allow these guys to do the work they're doing? As far as in-person meetings, I don't know when we're going to get back to those again. It's just a lot of unknowns at this point. So I'm sure we'll see a lot of changes in how we do everything.
Okay.
That's great. Yeah. So Theo, what do you hope we all learn from this?
Oh, geez. I think I'll tag on to what the Mayor Pro Tem said, and I'd just like to say, I think I'm really impressed with how the city of Thornton has handled this from start, and hopefully we're going to finish soon. So I don't want to jinx us, but it's been really, I think the employees have been really highly supported during this whole thing, and it's really speaking to The boots on the ground are very well supported, and that's why this has really just been pretty amazing from my perspective to watch unfold. So the things that I hope that we learn from this are, one, you can never be prepared for this thing. This is something we didn't see coming. We've always been and tried to be at the forefront of planning and innovation and all these things. But this is something that we have pandemic flu plans. We always thought it was going to be the flu, and this kind of came out of left field and really surprised us. And so I think if anything, at least from the fire department's point of view, is that we can never be too prepared, and really we got to keep a lot of that outside of the box thinking. And we got to. It's always the things. It's always what you don't know that's hard to plan for. Really, that's what we've been doing so far with this. And my favorite saying for this whole thing has been, we're building the plane as we're flying it, and so it's been a really neat journey so far. So I just appreciate all the support from City Council, from our city leadership. We couldn't do the things that we're doing without their support, and so we're kind of blessed from head to toe just to have the support. So, but if we can learn one thing, I hope it's that we can never be too prepared.
Well said. Well said. Yeah. Sabrina, what about you?
I think Theo pretty much summed up everything, covering the support that we have received from our city leadership and council. It has been amazing. They've been, thoughtful of our citizens and our employees, making sure that we're okay, both physically and mentally. And then, my job is all about prevention. So you can never prepare too much for any situation. So, coming from this, the one thing that we can learn is just always be prepared as much as you can.
It's great. Yeah. And I think it's a very important thing. It's easy to say that we're planning, we have all these plans, but we don't really test our plans. We don't really go back to them and really thoroughly look through them and question them.
It reminds me of something my dad said. He was a military guy, graduated from West Point, and one thing that they learned throughout is that the best laid plans on paper change as soon as you get punched in the mouth. The minute you get hit in the mouth, throw those plans away. You're making new plans up. And I'm sure, Lieutenant Theo, you guys talk about that with the fire department, right? Is you can have the best laid plans, but the minute you get on the ground, things might look a little different.
Yeah, we do a lot of, especially for this, we've been doing a lot of contingency planning. And so it's really funny you say that, because that is what we've seen to date is plan A, B, and C are never the one to go with. It's always, so it's always our redundancy to the redundancy to the redundancy. So right. A lot of contingency planning, and it really is. It is a little different when you get hit in the mouth, so to speak. I think you put it very well. What are you going to do next? Because people are looking to you, and you're the one that has to have the answers. And so far, we've been really blessed. We've had the answers because we've got an innovative team. We've got a lot of support, and so. But that's a really good point. Is you got to be ready for the unexpected. Sometimes that's hard.
Yes.
Well, that's a real tribute to character. It speaks to character. It speaks to training. It speaks to culture. It speaks to team. Really solid team. That's great. Lisa, what do you hope we can all learn from this?
Yeah. So we've not been through this before. So this support, the creativity and innovation and responding in a crisis, I think has been, for us, it's been really a good experience. And I know with my team, I want to sit down and think about, what do we need to be thinking about in the future? How can we be more prepared for something like this? And then finally, I hope that the kindness keeps going forward. It's been a nice break in a strange way, just to see the human side of people and reaching out to each other. So
a little bit of back to the basics, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I know that you took a lot of time out of your day to sit with us and share with our audience. A reminder to our audience to please continue to ask questions on Facebook. We'll try to get the answers for you. And each and every one of you on our panel today, thank you for your time, for your service, for your foresight, for the work that you continue to do, because this is not ending tomorrow, as we know. So we're still on the roller coaster ride. And we just want to big shout out to each of you and to everyone who is on the front lines.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Stay healthy, stay safe. And remember, always, for our audience, take a look and share your ideas and your thoughts. And also look at the resources. Go to the Facebook pages, Twitters, and all that to stay up to date on all the information relating to COVID and how we are able to triumph over it.
Yes, and wash your hands and wear your mask.
Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having